In this session, we are going to discuss law of karma, but we'll try and see it from from the where we have reached so far. What we are seeing, a law of karma is also within the nature. It is in this world, life, and one obvious thing we can observe here in this nature. Nature is our friend. In other words, various rules of nature are, are cooperating with us. We are alive because of nature, we can say. You know, if I cut the finger, the same second mechanism starts to heal it. And you will see this happening in the body second to second. So such complex mechanisms happening. It is a big miracle that human beings are alive and life continues. It's a miracle, but it is all because of nature, broadly. But if you see with this perspective, you will also notice that laws of physics, chemistry, physiology, biology, as if there is an intelligence behind it. They are not just a random law, Newton found it, some Einstein found. There is an intelligence behind. And intelligence is to preserve, to protect, to cooperate. So this is the way nature is. Many examples of all kinds. When more you understand what is happening in this world, you realize the wonder of nature. Now, in such a nature, there is pain. Why is there pain in this nature? Life would have been so much better if there was no pain.
Because it gives the gift of awareness when you have pain.
Awareness, okay.
No pain, no gain.
Okay. Anything else?
There's a signal that something's
Signal.
wrong.
Signal.
Yeah.
Yes, pain exists only to give us a message, to give a signal, to warn us of the danger, and to protect me. So when animals and human beings are having a free will, you know, plants don't have a free will, but animals have free will. I have free will. If there is a free will, I can use it to create trouble to myself. So it is balanced with the mechanism of pain. So even in the body, you will see areas where I don't have a free will, there is no pain either. For example, I have no free will on my intestines. The intestines function. I cannot make it move, make it slow. Peristalsis going on. At that level, there's no pain receptor either. So if a surgeon is cutting 2 feet of intestine, he needs anesthesia just to go under the skin. That's where you need anesthesia. Once you have gone past the skin, there are no pain receptors. So you can cut the intestines and suture it back and stitch it, and come out. There is no pain experience because there are no pain receptors. Where there is a free will, there is pain. And so nature has got such a wonderful mechanism where we we are given signal of the danger where I have a free will. So by this logic, it appears that plants, so there is no nature, there's no point in giving them pain receptors when they cannot do anything about this. Just like in intestines, there are no pain receptors if I can do nothing about it. If there is a free will, there is pain. Sure. Now let us see our life. Our life is in many ways dealing with pain of all kinds, emotional pain, physical pain, and how comfortable life is where there is less pain. success is less pain. So if you see our just simple, I sit in the wrong posture, I'll get pain. You eat something that is not good for your system, you will get pain. Bad smell itself is a pain. Nausea is a pain, because it is poisonous. And you will get pain. One person, one patient, he was taking chemotherapy. He cured, but that is last sort of phase of therapy. And he was with his family in Scotland. And when he came back, he was telling that midges in Scotland, famous.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They were biting everyone else, but not biting him. Hmm. And and he says, how did they know that I'm taking chemotherapy? So if they were to bite him, they would die. But they have an instinct. They knew that they should not. They were sucking blood of everyone else. They all are drinking beer and Scotch whiskey. Midges are going for them. For this person is taking chemotherapy. They're not going to him.
You mean the mosquitoes?
Yeah, the insects. It's like that, tiny insect. But nature has got such a system, such an amazing system. They know the animals, plants, why animals eat certain things and don't eat certain things. They get pain. That nature has got a system. They get a bad smell. What is poisonous? No one has taught them, but just from the smell they can avoid certain things. And they survive. So this is like a inbuilt wonderful system that exists in our life. Pain protects us, gives us a warning, gives us a signal. But then there are more complex pains, and we call them illnesses. So if there is a migraine, it is there to give a message. And message may be that you are eating too much cheese, maybe vegetarian cheese, but it is too much going on there. Or you are taking some chemical along with that cheese that is not right for you, not good for the body. That's why first it will give you a little signal. Some people don't notice well. For example, one person might say, I'm eating this. Maybe this is not right for me. Why? Because when I first take one spoonful of this, it disturbs my stomach a little bit. But when I eat other things, it is as if masked. I don't, but this may be not right for me. And that is exactly true. If nature gives the first signal, if I ignore that signal or if I mask it with something else, then nature has to give a bigger signal. So little bit upset stomachs, tiny for 1 minute. Your stomach it didn't feel good with the stomach. You ignore it, then nature has to give you a bigger signal, headache. You ignore that, you take some painkiller, ignore it. Nature has to give another signal. And this is the way it works. Nature gives signals. If you're sensible, you learn with first signal. If you're not sensible, nature has to give bigger signal and bigger signal. Ultimately, we learn. And also this happens at an emotional level, this happens at a physical level. The bigger illnesses are there because we are ignoring the nature. We are ignoring the message of nature. Why are there emotional pains?
We're ignoring the messages.
Message, yeah. And we saw, if you were to step out of the story, see the story, there is zero reason for desire, zero reason for sorrow, zero reason for ego. We saw what is normal. And then I have the option, a whole range of attachments I can create, whole range of confusion I can create. I can cross the line. and it is my choice. More I go further down that spiral, guaranteed there will be all kinds of emotional pain. All psychiatry is full of neurosis and psychosis. It is all the different levels of pain that exist as we go down the spiral. There is no other reason, connection with the spiral and the emotional pain, psychological pain. Now let us come to another kind of pain. Tell me still another kind of pain. We saw, some simple pain of a, little. I touch something sharp object, I get a pain. It is to give me a message. Pain of wrong posture, pain of wrong kind of food, pain of migraine, illness, emotional pain. Still another kind of pain that comes to human beings, which we try to avoid.
Mental pain.
That we saw emotional pain, psychological
Same.
pain, yeah,
Spiritual pains.
spiritual pain,
soul.
okay. Still another kind of pain.
Love pain.
Love,
Heartache.
yeah, heartache, that is still another act, okay.
Pain of separation.
Separation.
Pain of living here.
Pain,
Pain of vices.
pain,
Big
planet,
pain.
planet Earth.
Yeah,
Planet
pain.
pain.
Pain of the
Separation.
vices.
From
I
true
see.
home pain. Separation from true home.
I was thinking of pain of misfortunes.
Coming from outside.
Outside,
you mean,
yes.
Not internally.
Not internally.
Generating, right.
Nature as if brings some package of
So
difficult situation. Yeah, suffering then comes, but nature just gives you a package of misfortune. So is there a reason? And this loss is nature is immensely. We said there is intelligence in nature. We are not saying it is God, but it's just in nature. It appears. There is a sense, and where does this misfortune comes from? And for this, we have to come to this sketch that is shown here. And what this sketch is telling us, just like if I sit in a right posture, nature doesn't give pain. Only when I change the posture, the wrong posture, then nature will give pain. In the same way, if you are a soul, when you are seeing with your paras intellect, you are seeing, you are in this room right now, you exist as a star that is an invisible observer. You got your home, you got your family, you got that world. You are in this story, you are an observer. You are temporarily here, you are going to go. When you are in that awareness, you are here. This represents your full truth. This is the right posture for you. Instead of this posture, if you are creating a posture like this, where you are describing yourself based on the dog and the shoes and the job and the car, not just attachments, you are creating identity. Your image is based upon Harry Potter. Then nature doesn't see it as little Freddy, cute Freddy is innocent, he's just, a little confused. Nature says this is madness, and this has to be is a wrong posture that is to be put right. Nature has now thinking how to give this signal to you, and the signal doesn't come by some kind of physical pain. As an example, say someone creates an ego that he is the professor, and you tell him you're like nothing. No, everyone knows I'm professor. There is no problem, no question. I'm professor. Full stop. And no one is as clever as me. Okay. Now, what kind of situation can help him become free from the ego of the professor?
To lose the job.
Lose the job. And that exactly is what is created by nature. Each time I create this ego here, identity, nature gives birth to this pain mechanism. It is represented here by a bubble, and that bubble will act one day. And when it starts to act, there is, of course, it means this bubble acting means losing the job. But when I'm creating this ego, I'm give birth to this balancing mechanism, that is pain mechanism. This bubble, we call it Vinash force.
I'm sorry, can you just run that by me again, please? About pain.
Yeah, I will explain. I'll give examples also. So you create a ego based on something that you are not, and that nature creates this bubble, and bubble is giving you a situation, and situation is as a difficult situation is a painful situation, but that situation is tailor made to remove that particular ego. It is like a plier to extract your teeth. So you need sometimes big pliers to remove some molars. So this Vinash force is the plier that comes to remove the ego. That is all. Nature doesn't want to punish you. Nature just want to remove the ego. But for that, the forces may have to come in a painful way, in the form of a misfortune. Like for the ego to lose the job is the biggest misfortune.
It's not continuous. It's a signal that it doesn't explode. Like it's example of losing a job. You don't lose a job kind of until you lose a job. You don't feel the pain.
Yeah. It's just like nature has patience. It's like this brick is brought over here, but force is acting on it, and one day nature will bring it back to the floor. It is a bit like nature is force is created is by patience. It may be stayed there for 100 years, but it will all come down.
Sorry, like a what? A brick, you said?
And then there is a force,
Yeah.
force acting in the nature, and nature has patience. So here,
That's the Vinash.
Vinash force,
I haven't
yeah.
heard this term
Yeah.
before.
So the moment I give birth to this, I create. I'll give some examples of this. One friend of ours, and from France, and she is part of our center, connected with our activities. So sometimes we have some programs. She would be performing dance, and everyone likes this girl, and she's used to applause. I'm not using the names because it is all filmed. That's why I'm not giving exact names or details. But she herself might not mind this. That is her personal story. There was an accident. She was in the accident, and in the accident, different people got different injuries, but she was temporarily unconscious in a hospital. And her friends visit her, and friends, for some reason, show her a mirror. And this is the story she tells. She tells me the story. She says their friend showed her a mirror. In the mirror, she saw that her head was shaved, her face was swollen, bruises, black eye, scratches. She sees an ugly face. And she says she couldn't stop crying for hours.
Oh,
This is exactly her words. But during these hours, she was also noticing how big ego she had created based on her appearance. And she's doing everything. She is doing meditation, studying knowledge, and all this is going on. But this ego was hiding behind and not noticed, or maybe you don't want to notice. Ego doesn't want to be seen. So it was getting bigger. We said robbers, they don't like to be seen. So ego is hiding there, but everyone is praising her dance, praising her appearance, praising everything. So that ego is getting bigger and bigger. Then nature has to give her the message. And the message is literally, they didn't show the mirror to other people in those who had different other injuries, but she shown a mirror. And the mirror, she sees this face. And that is the Vinash force for her. You understand? So this whole package, Vinash force comes, it has got a very clear aim. It is targeting that ego. And why it is targeting the ego? Nature is your friend. Nature wants to free you from this illness. Seen from nature's point of view, this whole thing is an illness. If you are like this, that's what you should be. Sometimes, like ovary is one good example. Ovary is what weight? Some 10 grams, 15 grams, this sort of weight of the ovary. But some of the tumors of the ovary can weigh kilograms. The original tissue of ovary, you can't see it anymore. It is all tumor. Same happens here. There is this soul, and then this illness has started to grow. It is like a tumor. It is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then the original, real you, what is meant to be normal, it is completely cornered. It is all taken over by this tumor. So seen from the spiritual eyes, this is an illness. Understand? Huh? Deep illness there, illness in the soul itself. And if I am not doing anything to remove this, nature says, okay, I will do it. And nature cannot say, oh, Freddy, poor, nice, sweet, darling, remove this. Your mother might tell you, sweet, darling, but nature comes with a plier to remove your, without anesthesia, to remove the ego. And so that is a painful way of doing things. We all learn either through pain or what is the other way we learn?
Clarity.
Yeah, through wisdom, knowledge. And if I can learn with less first signal or little pain, then you are sensible, you are wise. If as we saw with different examples, nature gives signals, a little step up, bigger signal, a still step up, bigger signal. If I don't understand the signal, then the Vinash force has to come in, and then even then we may not learn. Another example.
So what happens then if we don't even learn when
Bigger, then bigger.
bigger
It's just
calamity
bigger, yeah.
before that?
Yeah.
Just gets worse
Worse, just get worse.
until you wake up.
Wake up.
You can't
Ultimately,
ignore it any longer.
yeah.
Yeah, you die.
Can you think of like a situation here where we all can see different. It literally telling us that there is never pain if you are not in a wrong posture, you will never get pain. Pain will be there only if there is a reason. And it is good to be sensible. First signal that I'm getting, what is the message here? Let me see. What is the signal?
It's a warning.
Warning.
Okay, have a look at
Yeah, look at it.
Look at what you're doing. Look
Yeah.
at your action. Look
Yeah.
at your mind.
So I'll give you another example. These are various stories I'm telling. They are first person story. So they are not heard stories, but the person herself telling me this story. And there are many examples from me. Maybe I'll tell you when there is no camera. Some stories if you want to hear more stories.
Mm-hmm.
But here is a example. One lady, she was a student in Cambridge, and she said when she was So now life going quite well. Suddenly, she notices that, or she's informed, someone has written a will and he died, and she is getting a house in the city, houses in the country, business, money, whole lot that he had. It is all given to this girl and unexpected. And so overnight she becomes a millionaire. She becomes rich. And she appointed one of her cousins to look after this as a manage all this. And she does a good job. So every year she's getting more millions. Everything is getting bigger. And this is some years ago. So at that time, millions meant a lot. So now she is a rich lady. She's buying things at the right place. She's in the right kind of circle, as rich people should be doing. So she's going on the right holidays. So then she said, in time, some situation change. Just like suddenly, European Union, Brexit, and sudden big things change. The sudden change of currency, these things like that. And there were problems in business. So she's now involved with banks. She said 8 different banks she was involved with, and there are problems. And suddenly there was a bankruptcy. And these banks, they came in, they took everything that she had inherited. It all disappeared. But now she were after her flat that she had before all this inheritance. There was a small flat in London, and they were after that flat. So she's fighting this, writing to them and struggling, lots of sorrow inside. But she said during this time she was still borrowing from others because she's a rich lady. She cannot just buy things that others buy, and she cannot just behave like everybody else because she's this. And she would be embarrassed to talk about what is happening to her. So life is going on. But internally she knows the reality and she's suffering. Physically also, body also has developed new problems, health problems. She says one day, 6 months passed in this kind of situation. She was looking out from her balcony, and she saw one homeless lady sitting on the pavement opposite. And seeing that lady, she just gets a thought: if I receive another letters from these banks, I will give them the key and I will join this homeless lady. So she says that is the ego death for her, because one day earlier she wanted to pretend she wanted to borrow to keep her show, and now she says, okay, I can tell them I'm homeless and this is my address. Regent Street is my address. So she takes a decision. She goes to bed. She gets a good sleep after many days. She wakes up next day. She noticed that her health has improved in some magical sort of way. Okay. In 2 days, 3 days, and then the next week, she notices that letters are coming from these banks, and they all are telling her that they want to help her. So different reasons, but they all are trying to help her. One bank says we want to meet you, another bank says we'll give you 6 more months to solve your problem, but they are all cooperative. She's a science kind of person. She goes back to these people and tries to find out if any of them changed their policy after that, or did they change it before. And all 8 banks changed their policy after she changed her policy.
After she changed.
Yeah, after that ego death. She did not tell them that I have changed or something. She just is working on herself. You understand? And that was enough. She died.
Gosh, that's amazing. This is true.
True story. Yeah. Personally, I can tell you the names of the people when the cameras are not.
Yeah, no.
So when this person died, ego, when the ego died in that person, and there was no need of Vinash force. When ego was getting bigger and bigger, the Vinash force was getting bigger and bigger. You understand? You understand the abstract nature of this law. And so I do nothing about the ego, then those bulldozers coming to take away the things. And when she realized this has to go for whatever reason, she drops that ego around this. Just understanding that I can join this homeless lady. That's all. That is not me. That image that I had created, that's not me. I am the reality. That ego died. And once the ego died, once I changed the posture, there's no need of pain anymore. Pain was there only because posture was wrong. You change the posture, then pain subsides. So the Vinash force, there's no purpose anymore.
So, are you saying or suggesting this is almost like a kind of law of physics?
Yeah.
That it's a spiritual
absolutely, yes.
Cause and effect.
Cause and effect.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
because it is. We cannot show these forces in the laboratory. That is the only difference. But it says that these forces are absolute,
Guaranteed.
guaranteed. And in our English there is a saying, pride comes before the fall.
Mm-hmm.
It's why this statement exists. Why this saying exists, because we have seen the pattern. They have seen pride is coming before the fall. They have seen this pattern. But what this law is saying, pride is the cause of fall. Not just pride comes, and then by chance. No, pride brings the fall. So you create a pride, you are inviting the fall. Now this is not just a general fall. These are tailor-made. You take the example of our sister in Paris. She creates identity based on appearance. Vinash forces are connected with her appearance. She is to be shown a mirror. Another person creates ego based on the wealth. Then the Vinash forces are connected with the wealth. I got examples where people create identity based on the other person in relations. My husband is so famous, my husband is so good, I am the wife, this kind of thing. Who are you?
He leaves her. Then he leaves her.
Yeah, this kind of situations. Guaranteed you bring the Vinash force in that form. Different kinds of identities you create, whatever kind, you are inviting misfortune in that area. For ego, that is so important, and precisely the situation will come exactly in that area. As we said, ego based on I am the professor or something, Vinash force will come there. Just giving another example, someone I know very well, immensely intelligent but clever in every respect. Like moment he meets you, he wants to know every fact about you, what you are doing, but intelligent, cleverly, and will absolutely, attack those who are not so clever like him, those who are not doing things perfectly, accurately, innocently, with good intention, but he would sort of want everyone to be clever like him. This kind of personality. Yeah. No, not bad. He's sort of sensible, but you knew that there is a little gradually identity coming in based on he being sensible, he being
How smart he is.
smart, how smart he is, this kind of thing.
How he's
And he gets malarial encephalitis. Malaria, he got malaria, but malaria affected the brain. So he had cerebral malaria, He recovered. He is still old, but now he has to deal with this mind, which is like a dementia. He cannot be clever at things anymore. Internally, I can sort of see why, for him, it has to be like this. Why the malaria has to. He's surprised that he ever gets malaria of all he in his situation. Where this malaria came to him, don't know, but it affects the brain, and now he is leading a life of. That's the Vinash force inside for the soul, because all life he has been clever to deal with this mind that doesn't function, that cannot process things, that cannot come out with clever answers to everybody. It is a painful thing for the ego. Just giving different examples, but uh, this is Vinash force is this. They are tailor made. Once you create an ego, every ego has got its own tailor made Vinash force. Anyone here got ego?
All of it.
Anyone has seen Vinash forces? Yes. You could sort of see the connection. Now, retrospectively, even you can see the connection. What was the cause behind why that situation came? This kind of thing. It sort of says things are not random. Things don't come from nowhere. It is just because I was, so innocent. I was just walking. That there was accident, and then these people show me the mirror. Me, poor innocent. And superficially, it appears innocent. Understand, no? But when you see deeper picture of the soul, you realize that it is not innocent. There are reasons. Nothing happens by chance. That. Now, in this context, also to know that as we saw yesterday, there is death and there is birth. It is just because body dies, that doesn't mean anything. It is just a continuation of the soul takes place. And so it is possible in one life, I can be just busy feeding the ego. Some people ask me this question. It is okay, you say there is the law of karma, there is a Vinash force for every ego. But he says, I know many people who are so arrogant and so all life they are behaving like this. And nothing is happening to them. It is the innocent ones who are having Vinash forces. Some might make a statement like
Yeah.
this, they know it's few people who are, and their life is becoming, they are getting power, position, and those who are not having ego, they are the ones who are getting. What happens when I see the long term?
It follows that.
Yeah, then only you can understand this principle better. So, let us take my example. I spent whole life, feeding ego, getting more ego. Then there is nothing like reincarnation. You live once. That's all that matters. Eat, drink, be merry. That is the slogan. You cheat, you rob. Really, that doesn't matter as long as you indulge. That is Shudra slogan is like this. Eat, drink,
Live life to the full.
live life. Yeah. Now, okay, I die. And all life, if I have created this inner life like that, with Vinash forces, as you said, each of these eye has got its own Vinash force. Death and what happens with that, I can't take my gold with me, but I will take all this blueprint with me and all the Vinash forces with me.
Is that a Vinash force operating when a son dies?
In this life,
Like, for example, I have someone I know that she's a mom of my friend that she died because of cancer from very rich family, and she basically was keeping the body in the how we call when we are
Mummified.
doing the valerie. she didn't allow to bury her. The Valerie was lasting for 2 days because she didn't allow her to go. Who has been affected by the vanish force? Her daughter or her mom?
I don't exactly understand. Maybe later we can see this situation, but understand this Vinash force just in our lives. We create. I create ego in an ego, and then I create whatever ego I have created. That ego I have created Vinash force for that, and that will go with me wherever I go, and that will influence my birth itself. You understand? It is like this Vinash force will start in influencing me from childhood. So you will notice that explains also why sometimes children can have some illness, sometimes serious illness. Some people ask why children. If there is a law, how come children have not done anything wrong? But when you are seeing the larger map, you realize now the body is of a child, but 10 years earlier, that same soul was there in another adult body. And in that adult body, there was a life that was going on. Soul has been feeding this identity. Soul has been creating the Vinash forces. And those Vinash forces are influencing the place, people, position, everything that Vinash forces influence. But just as there are Vinash forces, there are also the positive forces. Vinash force is not the only option. The more we are in this space, as we said all along, nature is our friend. Nature wants to honor you. Nature is not punishing. Nature or God never punish. These are not forces of punishment. Even so-called extreme pain is there to give a signal. That is the last option of nature. That's why nature, patience also. Nature stays quiet, gives you chance to use wisdom also. And if even by wisdom I'm not putting it right, then only nature gives pain. But if I put things right, nature wants to honor you. So if I sit in the right posture, there's no pain. You enjoy your life in a natural state. It is of natural state is of happiness. Natural state is of contentment. Natural state. We don't need cake to feel happy. Natural state of the soul is of contentment, happiness, bliss, peace. Nature wants to give you the best. But even at a physical level, you invite, you come in this space, you invite health. You come in this space, you invite illness. Whole department of illness is Vinash force.
The other is you invite health.
Health. Yeah, good health. You like a healthy body. You feel good about yourself, that is the natural state. Nature wants to honor you. I create a Vinash internally, create a wrong posture. Nature wants to give illness. The whole department of illness is Vinash force. Trying to give you a message underneath to remove something. You go to the doctors. What do the doctors do?
Take these tablets.
Hmm?
Take these tablets.
Yeah, and what are they doing at a deeper level? So you go to the doctors. What will they do at a deeper level?
They're trying to remove your pain.
And take away your Vinash force.
Say it again.
Take away your Vinash force.
They don't take away the Vinash force. But what happens is they have developed a method, the technique, to postpone this Vinash force. They cannot. only the person can remove the cause of the vinash. No one else can. Your prime minister cannot remove the vinash force for you.
Through waking up.
Only you can remove through waking up or attention, because this is your creation. It is like a buffalo's tail. You have to let go of the buffalo's tail. You are holding on to this ego. You have to let go. No one else can do it for you. So doctors and the whole system, medical system, is they find clever methods to postpone. That is all they can do. That's the best thing. So the the critic, medical critic, Vitolskas, has anyone heard the name? George Vitolskas. He's from Greece. His book, New Model of Health and Human. He says we just reshuffle problems. In studies with more than 100,000 patients, when he follows them up, he realizes illness comes back. We are just reshuffling problem because deeper root is not addressed. It will come back. So here we find clever method. So this is still there. This is still there. So all doctors are busy. All hospitals are busy. Drama goes on, but nothing is really cured. That's why you hear the statement in the Murlis. There's just one real hospital. There's just one university, one hospital. Because the real hospital is when you are treating the soul. Then it is cured. Then they don't need to go through the illness in this life or in the future life. Until then, we are just postponing the problem. So you have sort of appears very academic. This is we understood this soul, soul awareness, and there is the ego. We laugh at it and all, but all this ego have vinash forces with it, and those vinash forces we see all around. Now let us see the statistics. What is happening on this planet? See from a different angle. Lots of, just this country has got 8 times more prosperity in the last 60 years. But most people, you can say, there is many countries, there is a prosperity, the technology, science, everything is increasing. There's a but. But what is the but? More than 1 billion people are
Ego's increasing.
ego is increasing, but more than 1 billion people are remaining hungry. Every day, more than 1 billion people, more than some huge statistics. And now people are migrating. Why are they migrating? Now these fires coming. There are different things, different situations going on, and it sort of says there is a pattern where souls are not all 7 billion, 8 billion souls are getting the benefit of this. And there are, seen from this position, there are deeper factors, deeper reasons. And even those who are getting benefit, it is, we are ready to create a bigger problem to the planet itself. And then there's one figure from sociology. Anthony Giddens is a professor of sociology in Cambridge, but his books are read all over the world. Sociology textbooks, but they are by Giddens in Cambridge. And in his books, he one statement he makes is over the last he thinks something like 400 years, 500 years, if you see Europe, you see one very interesting pattern. What is the pattern? Every 50 years, he says 50 years, but let us say roughly 50 years, there is some kind of a destruction, collective calamity. So at one time there would be plague, another time some other
The Great
epidemic.
The Great Fire. Or
Fire. Even the fire was not like a whole Europe, but different things come in different parts. But
WW2.
yeah, but one time, because of a plague, half the population of Europe died. In the whole Europe, population was reduced by half because of plague. Then suddenly someone goes mad, declares a war, want to beat everyone else up, then millions die. And this is the pattern. And he says, this you see roughly 50 years time. And he also says after that there is period of peace, 50 years of peace, people dancing disco, and then another stick comes, another bang, 50, another destruction comes. And he also says in that chapter, people forget the message of pain in the first few years of peace. They realize what they did wrong, and then they do the same thing over again. Same mistake.
People forget the message.
Forget the message. Within the years, few years of peace, they forget. They do the same mistake again. Now, what we are, let us see from this spiritual map, how to explain this. When there is peace, party starts. Ego comes on the disco. Disco, what do you call it? Disco.
Yeah.
Discotheque.
Mhm.
Ego comes in, ego gets bigger and bigger and bigger. That is the party. And with the ego, all the Vinash forces are also getting bigger. After 50 years, Vinash forces are released, collectively, and then everyone is shattered, and then there is peace again. Always he recovers, he starts, okay, something was wrong. But soon ego is starting again,
Also, it's another generation who can't remember directly of the
Yeah, what
previous
happened.
50 years ago.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's
Okay.
not the same generation.
Yeah. But even if they remember, like how many people, even those who were there at the time of the war, it is party. They lived there at the time of the war, but
Yes.
now it is there in the party.
They think that's it forever, never, never.
It will never happen
Every-
again.
yeah,
this kind of thing.
Yeah, there'll never be that war.
Yeah.
Again.
Plus, Prashanta, if some of those people who have the institutional memory, even if they were to remind others, nobody would listen.
Yeah.
Let's say, look at our success. We're partying. We're successful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Companies suffer from this all the time.
Yes.
Organizations.
Yeah.
But natural forces, are they stopping the plastic? Is that what we were talking about last night? Because that's sudden stopping of plastic use.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
That's the
natural
effect,
forces.
Why
Yeah.
is that Vinash?
Because the plastic's the ego, isn't it? That we've all
But
increased.
I thought Vinash forces make things worse for us, not.
No,
It's
but
got
it's
to a
nature
stage-
putting it right,
Yeah.
isn't it?
So it's got to a stage where it's got really bad, and now you're down to the
So the
positive
bubble needs to be
forces.
burst.
Not simply on the
So
positive
I
side.
didn't exactly understand. Plastic, you said?
The plastic use in the
Yeah.
world, and there's a really big, quick push to stop using
Yeah.
so much plastic. So is that because using plastic's been this big ego
Mm.
thing where we can all carry 6 pieces of plastic for one item?
Mm.
So
It seems to be on the
Vinash
positive
forces-
side.
let me finish.
Yeah. Mm.
Need to come to stop it.
Yeah, but these are like still superficial fixes.
Yeah.
The real this change is only if the deeper ego is removed and replaced by the soul awareness. Then it is the real progress. So that accurate deeper change is very rare at present. But ordinarily it is party that is happening, but there is a possibility, that is the potential of in everyone. We have the option to bring about this change. We have the option to create these minutes, seconds accurately, to nourish the right side of us. This can get bigger, and nullify the Vinash forces. And that is like a job done through wisdom. And this bring about this change. Then you are guaranteed. This only works at a individual level. It is like if there is a country where people bring about this change, we said, the highest aim the prime minister can keep is create a deity society. This mind is a deity society. They are lucky inside, they are also lucky outside. This mind invites not just health, invites harmony, invites plenty, prosperity, perfection. Inside there is perfection, outside also there will be perfection.
So, can the Vinash forces come in on, say, a worldwide collective?
Collective.
So, for example, if we all feed into a collective consciousness of fear, I'll use Trump as an example.
Yeah.
So when he first came out and we knew that he was running, people panicked and were sort of being very judgmental against other people, and it produced this huge collective consciousness of fear and prejudice and disharmony. And in a way, you could look that the Vinash forces actually put him in as president to teach us all a lesson.
It is, yeah, he's a Vinash force.
What can we learn
Yeah.
from Trump being president?
Yeah.
So it might not be a bad thing that he's become president.
Mm.
What do we learn about each other?
Yeah.
Like
It is-
Hitler as well.
Hmm?
Like Hitler.
Yeah, that's true. Hitler was a Vinash force for Europe, whole Europe.
Yes.
Yeah, that is. So in the present situation, what can we do? Leaving aside the outer facts, we have got enough idea ourselves that here is the enough of this wrong posture I got. Answer is right posture. I have the option to put the right posture. Maybe I can encourage others to have the right posture. It is like it's very strategic, not just knowing about the thing, but slippery. You understand how slippery this is. We can even use the word soul consciousness, but it is slippery. Check if that invisible observer is alive. Even as we are having lunch and all, check this in that silence. It is nice peace, it is okay, that's good, but that is not in the destination. Understand? No? I can experience nice atmosphere, everyone is nice, and some simple, that's very good, relaxing. But that is not enough. To internally check, is the invisible observer alive this minute? If that invisible observer, is he seeing it in full clarity? Am I using paras? Am I detached? Am I free from the whole thing? Maybe you can hold it for 1 minute, but that is blessing. 1 minute, you are nourishing this. And more, as we were saying earlier, more this becomes stronger, then you will be able to see the contrast. Suddenly something happens, someone praises something, you are able to say, this is ego. That is, I can say in myself, not in other. I can say it is ego trying to come in. Ego wants to hear a little bit more about people talking about my dog. It is ego that is sort of jumping here. Ego that takes offense here. So I may say something, and someone says, I don't agree. And does it matter? It is an opinion that is someone likes, someone doesn't like. But ego can also come in and says, take offense about it. You are able to observe these identities. If there is a contrast, if this side is becoming stronger. So when this is strong, you are completely beyond all pettiness of any kind. All down below is a story. You are beyond petty. You don't want to think about it, don't to go into thinking, worrying, complaining. You're out of it. That's the deal. Harry Potter. Understand? No? But for the ego, everything becomes big. You know? So you are able to spot this, the contrast. Someone else telling me it doesn't mean anything. I can read books. You know? It doesn't go. You know, ego can even sort of feel, you know, why do you think I got ego? Ego can even speak like that. But here you are silently just creating the contrast, creating these minutes. No, someone mentioned, you know beforehand you will be coming out of it. Margaret was saying yesterday, know that you will be coming out of it. Don't create ego that I am soul conscious from now on. No, you will be coming out next minute. No problem. You know, you at least you know when there is awake state, when there is no awake state. You know the contrast. That is more useful than not even knowing the contrast. Yeah, you want to say anything?
I was
Yes.
trying to apply this to an example of somebody I know whose partner was taken ill. Again, Vinash forces,
Yeah.
and I very clearly see that this person and the person his partner was the, in a way, the most valuable possession. Let's
Mm.
put it that way.
Mm.
And I already felt at the beginning of this year that the cause was his ego.
Mm.
But even though I can see it, and I knew that if he got rid of his ego, the partner would get better. How do you convey this? Because if they're not soul conscious, how can you say to them, look, if you were to get rid of, I mean, you
Yeah, I
promise
understand.
it, yeah? But if you were to get rid of your ego, you would find a solution because then you would have positive force.
Yeah.
How do you handle
Yes, so like at this stage, as we mentioned before, internally we need to create a stage of ourselves so that we are very clear about what it means, what is the option I want to give to them.
that? Okay.
You understand, no? Because option is not just knowledge, option is they should be soul conscious.
Okay.
And to give that option, I have to be a little bit stronger in that soul consciousness myself. If otherwise, just information, they will see it also as information. They will tell somebody else. They will write books on it, you know, but they themselves do not become soul conscious.
Maybe I miss. What's the definition of karma then?
Mm?
What's the definition of karma? Is all this?
Cause and effect, yeah. Karma, it is, you know, the subject of karma is like I am responsible for what comes to me. It is in my hand what comes to me, good, bad. Ordinarily, people think it at a superficial level, gross level, drama level. So if I give someone food, you know, I will get food, this kind of interpretation. I give someone money, I'll get money. I give. But when you see at a deeper level, you understand the real factors, real karma is your consciousness, your thoughts, your ego, what is happening at a soul level. That is the real cause of karma.
So karma is really words, thoughts, and action.
Yeah, at this level, thought and the consciousness is seen as a foundation. You know, so in a, if this side is winning, then you can say broadly it's a bad karma. You are performing bad karma. If this side is winning, it's a good karma. If neither side is winning, then it is a karma, neutral. Sukarma, vikarma.
Another image that comes to mind with the Vinash forces is, you know, when we set the sat nav or the route finder now,
Yeah.
and you go off course and you're going wrong, and it says, what is
Correct.
it, repositioning, and you have to, it's sort of, it's resetting us
Resetting, yeah.
onto a
Right
good
course.
route,
Brings you
the
to the
right route
destination.
again, the right route to bring us back.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it like that?
Yeah, it
kind
is
of?
like that. Yeah.
I missed what the neutral was.
That's nature's way of taming
It is
us.
a karma, in
Good,
Sanskrit,
yeah.
in a neutral karma. Means you are not, but say I'm asleep for 1 hour.
Yeah,
It is neutral.
okay.
So in this world, sometimes we don't give them sleep management course too much because it is better they are asleep longer. If they are awake, they are feeding the ego.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Is there, do you have an explanation for why, like you say, in some examples, we can clearly see cause and effect, like the lady with her inheritance and nearly losing her property, she had a change of mind, and the dancer. We can see the connection in this lifetime between a state of mind or ego identification and an outcome. So how come with some it's clear in this time frame that we can see, and in others it's between lifetimes but fortunes really change and transform? Like, you know, the
The
person.
next life.
Yeah, it all comes out.
For everyone, there will be some that are settled in this life.
Right.
Some
karmic
continue into
debts.
some continue. It is like like in personal life. Sometimes I can see the Vinash force coming straight away within a day. And I can change it. Once you know this, it is like a nice secret. You say there is some situations, maybe small level, but this is a bit unpleasant forces coming towards me. Instead of blaming others, you sit and see what is going on. What is the ego there? It is a simple equation, not very complex. Equation is very simple. It is the ego. That's why there is a reaction. Let me see that ego. Let me remove the ego. Pay extra attention to remove the ego. Let me work on this and be humble. Eat a humble pie for a few days. And then you will notice you change the situation of behaviors of others. Try and see. It's like guaranteed. If you remove the ego, just to be clever at this, what is it trying to? There is some little reaction. I don't like that. Like say even some relations, some situation, unpleasant behavior. Even in those situations, to say, which part of me is uncomfortable with this? It is this kind of thing, and you will find there is some image. I like others to see me in a certain way, that I am polite, I am kind, and they tell you are not like that. There is no logic there. Vinash force has no logic. They just will come to poke at if there is identity, poke at it. Understand? I may be kind, but nature says don't create an ego that you are kind. You may be generous, but don't create ego that you are generous, because they will come and say you are not generous.
Yes, so don't say, I am good, I am kind,
Yeah.
I am.
Something subtle. You have to check, observe. What is that identity? And it takes steps to drop that identity. And replace. And that is what our system, as an experiment. It's fun. And this is what I was meaning personally, working on this. Give attention to this and directly, ego crunch, remove the ego that you have noticed. And within days, you will notice that change of the behavior of the people. Try and see. It is a bit like this. You all got some people like that who are creating little bit problem. Anyone got?
All of us do.
It is like a nice experiment for yourself to see how it works. And once you try it once, twice, then you know so sure about. It is like your master. Yesterday during the discussion, we were saying it's so nice that you are responsible. You are in charge.
By ignoring.
It is not ignoring. It's not outside you're ignoring. You are removing the ego within you. You are replacing it with the soul awareness. It is painful. It is almost like telling to the world, telling to the people, I'm not kind.
Yeah, what's the difference between the I'm kind ego and one I'm kind not ego?
What is the difference? Being kind and creating an ego. It is a bit like, say, who said it? That nice language. In unconscious competence. Unconscious competence. So you are kind, but you are unconscious and kind. You are kind, but you are not thinking of it.
It has become a part of your
Part of
nature.
you, part of your nature.
Right.
You are generous. You are not thinking of it. It is beyond.
It's genuine.
You are genuine. You are genuine, and you are not sort of letting some ego take some commission from it.
You're not superficial about it.
Not superficial.
Very sincere about it.
Sincere, but still, ego is such a thing. It will take a commission of everything that you are doing.
Oh, what a way.
That's all right.
Agree? Say you do some good actions. Someone is hungry, you give him your food, you give, and you come back home, and the ego will say, "Oh, you're so good." You give someone food.
No, it's amazing a situation of this guy it's discovered this is one ego. What can you do? Should we kind of go outside and swear to every people so he's not kind and it's remove the ego? What should we do?
No. Be kind. Very good. Be kind. But only way to deal with this ego is clarity. Come into light. See that it's a act within the drama. The whole thing is a little story and within that. And the real you is far more superior to this kind James Bond. Understand? Your real you is completely different. So you come in that self-respect of the soul. That is the idea. And see that whole of this part of Prashant, it is in a little drama, so trivial, and ego creates such a hype about it. And you're seeing how small that whole part is.
Yeah.
Then you're shining light. During those minutes, seconds, you are really making the ego smaller. Prashant is like, say, Sean Connery. He doesn't come home and say, I'm so amazing. I jumped from one building to another building and saved 100 people with one hand.
Yeah.
He doesn't come home and say this. He said, that was just a stunt. That is all done.
Whereas at the end of the day, a lot of people like to look back over the day and think, that was really good. That was really kind there.
Yes.
Because that makes them feel they've had a successful day.
Yeah. It is like that. They feel a successful day. I did helped so many people.
Yeah.
Whereas here you are shining light and say that was a stunt in a little story. That really you are out of it.
People, they try to hide their ego.
Yes. Yeah, but that applies to me, This is with everyone. That's why ego is there, because it is hidden all this time.
We may be egotistical that I'm humble. I'm so humble. In other words, I maybe have ego on that also. Prashant, one thought is going through my mind. See, this is excellent. I'm telling you not to build your ego.
Yeah.
But this is how I feel.
You're feeding his ego.
See, by the time we leave, we will have forgotten 90% of it,
Yeah.
95%.
Yeah.
You know. So is it possible for us to maybe have a brainstorming as a team? What are my egos? My egos may be very different from Alka's egos or
Gosh,
Or
I've got so
Chica's
many.
ego.
I could fill
How
the
does
day
that
on my
And
own.
then
We'll
maybe
be
like-
here forever.
For example, Anjana may say something that this is her ego, and I may catch on to, you know what, that bugger is in me also.
Mm.
But it may be 20th on the list.
Mm.
Top of the list may be this one, which I know.
Mm.
And that once we've identified the hierarchy of the egos that
Mm.
exist within me, then we know what the next step is. What are the top 5 I must focus on immediately?
Yeah.
You know, then I can do something about
It's
it.
a
Yes.
personality investigation about ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
But if I went out and I spent the day doing service, like helping people, and I come back and that was a successful day.
Mm.
I reached so many people. Is that ego?
Yeah.
As we said, if that full paras is not there, Mr. Ego
Mhm.
takes some commission.
Take control.
So is
Some
ego,
commission.
is ego evil?
Is ego evil? You're
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we are seeing, ego is the one. As it gets bigger, it is the one that becomes sad. Ego is the one that becomes bad. Ego is mad.
So it's ego.
Ego is the only
it's
thing.
insidious, isn't it? It creeps.
Yeah.
It's insidious.
So within us, the whole ignorance, confusion, the different kinds of taking offense, giving offense, it is all coming from Mr. Ego.
Prashanta, as part of the solution of diffusing the ego, maybe what Baba says in the Murli, that assign the success to Karan Karavan.
Yeah.
Would that be,
Yeah.
for example, I may come home, I mean, for the benefit of those who do not attend Brahma Kumaris, Shiv Baba is God Almighty as we believe. And we get a daily letter from him, which is called the Murli, where he coaches us on what we should be focusing on for that particular day. And every now and then he keeps reminding us. And one of the things he says that, that he is the Karan Karavanhar, meaning the doer and the facilitator. What would be the right explanation?
It is a bit like,
Like the doctor and the light.
yeah. Say a child is cutting the cake,
Mhm.
but mother is holding the hands. Mother is actually doing the job, but the child is still happy. Child has cut the cake, but the hands holding the hands of the child.
Yeah.
So that is the message behind it. So to
So this
understand,
child-
many things are happening here, but one who is doing it is someone else, and so that way you don't give it to Mr. Ego. Otherwise, Mr. Ego wants to say me. I did it. I am the best. So commission becomes much more than
Yeah, so that's
just
the
10%.
child. Yeah.
Ego wants to take all of it.
So one solution, if I came home and I said, Alka dear, my God, had such a wonderful day, such a wonderful meeting. Baba Karan Karavanhar made everything happen.
Yeah.
So that's okay. No.
At one level, it is okay, but as we say, ego will try to still get a commission. Some language is right, words are right, things are right, but this game is minute to minute game, and we have to repeatedly check. And is the paras in place?
For example, the ego exists as well into the religion hierarchy. When we have a leader that he always gonna be praised by everyone was being the priest or archbishop or whatever, and then he has been leading by his ego.
Mhm.
That's why people, they don't identify themselves following a religion, because we are following a ego-based leader. So, is that right?
Yeah, anything?
In the little weeks that I've been coming and trying to observe myself, I find. So I was looking up something on Amazon to buy, and I nearly bought it. I was really at the click, and I suddenly thought, no, this is just a selfish desire. So then I stopped buying it because I thought I don't need it.
Mm.
So that's every minute, isn't it? There's every minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 1 minute I was on that track and then I
Yeah.
suddenly thought, whoa.
Mm.
So is it like
Yeah.
that? I mean,
It is like that,
yeah.
Just in this context, one more aspect to see. We were saying Giddens, he says every 50 years there is a Vinash force, there is destruction. Now let us see since 1948. So it is 70 years. From 1948 to today, it is 70 years. So it is more than 50 years.
It's happened 20 years ago.
Yeah,
Big
yeah.
happened.
Yeah, what is happening is, what has happened to, say, let us say Europe during the last 70 years? What do you see? What is happening?
It was coming together. And now it's coming apart.
Okay, but there's another, in the spiritual, if you are seeing in a spiritual way, same thing applies to America, same thing applies to most of the world. Over the last 70 years, what has happened to our country, our society, at a spiritual level?
In America, morality has gone down, crime rate has increased,
Sure.
educational standards have gone down.
But it's a very obvious way.
Stopped believing in religion.
They
Or-
don't practice the spirituality, actually. They don't believe it.
Yeah. But ego has become
Lot bigger.
bigger
Yes.
on a scale never seen in history.
Has it?
Because
In America, Prashanta, in America, it definitely has. The same thing I see in India.
Yeah.
It's
Oh.
amazing to see that in India.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? Because it is a party, the science and prosperity, permissive society, all of these things, technology has made it possible for people to indulge on a scale never seen in history. We have forgotten, imagine our ancestors 100 years ago, they couldn't listen to even music. We think we need to have music 24 hours almost, wherever we go, we have to take music. They only, if there is a performance, they will go and listen to music, that kind of thing. You don't just get music in your iPhone, in wherever you go. Now people can get indulgence of lust and greed and attachments and ego, and they can drink whatever they want, and they can. There is prosperity. There is freedom, and technology to support all this. So this has become a Pompeii.
Yeah.
Not just a one little Pompeii, but whole planet has become Pompeii.
Pompeii meaning?
In Italy, there was a time people were going from Europe to Pompeii for indulgence. And what happened was there was a volcano, and the whole city went under the lava. Just one person survived.
Vinash force took over.
Vinash forces took over. So that Pompeii is famous for as a symbol. You indulge and you get buried under the lava. So
Prashant, when did this happen?
when was it?
17 something, I think.
300 years ago.
300 years.
And the fall of Rome in a small
Fall of
way.
Rome, yeah. So now the whole planet has become like what was seen at that time as an amazing goodness, extreme Pompeii. Now it is everywhere. The technology has made it possible. And in such a world, in that there will be lava. If nothing is done, these Vinash forces are going to close down on us. You know. And so that is the very clear. If you are seeing the blueprint, you can see what is to happen to this planet. The only other option is to change to remove the Vinash force. The only option is remove them myself. But this is not just a few people doing it. Everyone on the planet has to do it. Now, everyone on the planet, when will they do it? If I start doing it. You understand that? This is like
Ripple effect.
the little game for us. This is the only thing I can do. If I really care for the world, care for the planet, care for the universe, care for me, then this is all I can do. I bring about change in a sincere way. I give value to my minutes. I give value to my thoughts. I, in the right way, not just some go in off the tangent in some, you know, uh, some language, some religious language, but let me bring about it, understand the accuracy of it, about change. And once you have brought about the change, at least you are not part of Pompeii anymore. You are out of that. Law is absolute. As we said, whether it is Pompeii or Martinique, similar situation happened in Martinique. Again, volcano, lava, whole thing was buried. Day before in Martinique, they were taking the effigy of the priest, local priest, because the local priest was opposing this indulgence, and they had taken a effigy of the priest around the town, criticizing the priest. Next day, there was a volcano. The whole
Really,
thing,
wow.
yeah,
Happened instantly there.
yeah.
That,
No, the indulgence has been going on for a while.
Yeah.
But it was going so far. No one
when they carried his effigy, then an instant reaction.
It was just an indication of what was happening.
Oh, I see.
But it is more the indulgence
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
the ego.
Yeah.
But that behavior just shows how ego was so much in charge, in their lives, of the whole society. But Martinique. So before the big message from nature, we have the option to bring about change and bring about change in accurately. Then you are seeing a different world. When Nostradamus speaks about the future, he speaks 1,000 years of the golden age. He speaks of destruction also, but he speaks of 1,000 years of the golden age. Those who bring about this change in them, they contribute towards the creation of the golden age. But there will also be some who will be absolutely, working for Pompeii. They bring about the Vinash force, and maybe future has got both. Paying attention to just minutes, that is very effective. Just 1 minute, I want to do it absolutely right. And when we say right, let this invisible soul, that is, he is the observer. During those minutes, we are seeing completely out of this, not a perspective of Prashant, but perspective of one who is third person. Soul is like a third person. So you'll have 1 minute of silence.